Okay, a very good afternoon to all of you here to attend this webinar, how to expand and grow your business through franchising. So this webinar is actually a partnership between SICCI and Franchising and Licensing Association Singapore, also known as FLA. We put together this session to share more franchising and licensing opportunity with all of you. Let me introduce Mr. Parthiban Murugayan, Board Director, SICCI, Managing Director, Ruvenus Jewelry Private Limited. Mr. Parthiban Murugayan took over his family's gold jewelry business at the age of 22 and transformed it into one of the leading jewelry merchants in the industry. With extensive experience gained over the years, along with good foresight, Mr. Parthiban set up Ruvenus Jewelry to realize his global vision. In 2012, its first outlet opened in Changi Airport. It makes its impression on the global scene with the opening of its first international outlet in Hong Kong Airport. He also became the first local Indian entrepreneur from the retail industry to be bestowed the winner of the Rotary Singapore ASME New Entrepreneur of the Year Award. Now let us welcome Mr. Parthiban for his welcome remarks. Mr. Parthiban, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and distinguished guests. Dr. T. Chandru, Chairman of SICCI and Chairman of MMI Group. Mr. Dixon Lau, Vice President of FLA and Director of Manhattan Fish Market. Mr. Thomas Hoy, Manager at FLA. Mr. Albert Kong, Exco at FLA, CFE, CMC, Senior PMC CEO, Asia-wide Franchise Consultants Private Limited. Ms. Andrea Bell, Exco, FLA, Co-Founder and Director, Inspire Brands Asia, Retail Lifestyle. Fellow board members, CEO of SICCI. We are pleased to welcome you to the franchising webinar today. With the help of the Franchising and Licensing Association, SICCI will present this session about how to expand your business through franchising. We hope to share business strategies for expanding and internationalizing into ASEAN, Central Asian, and South Asian markets as a means of supporting members and enterprises. Locally and globally, franchising is one of the most secure business strategies for growth. Singapore has brand protection regimes that make it attractive for franchising and licensing. A common pitfall of franchise relationships is the failure of franchises in localizing their products and services to meet the demands of the individual markets. Harry's, Coffee, Hive, Friends by Pontian, BreadTalk, Fun Toast, Salad Stop are some familiar Singapore examples who have successfully franchised their businesses. The top 7 rising franchises in Singapore that was recently named were Modern Montessori International, Wee Nam Kee Chicken Rice, Founder Rao Gu Cha, 7-Eleven, Trung Nguyen Coffee, Irish Potatoes, and E2 Young Engineers. In this presentation, FLA will discuss support structures in place, such as franchise framework and diagnostic toolkit, to assist your brand in preparing for regional expansion. We will learn about franchising from Mr. Albert Kong's presentation. Ms. Andrea Bell and Mr. Dixon Lau, 2 highly experienced franchising industry professionals, will be sharing their business views and personal experiences. Dr. T. Chandru, Chairman of SICCI, will deliver the opening remarks at this event. Additionally to his role as Chairman of SICCI, he is also CEO and Chairman of Modern Montessori International, an international corporation with more than 100 teacher training centers and preschools in over 100 countries. He oversees the development and implementation of all business strategies, policies, and processes. Dr. Chandru has grown in his company from a single unit training organization to a multi-million-dollar and multinational educational organization with over 500 employees. MMI was named Franchisor of the Year by the Franchising and Licensing Association in 2005. The webinar will not only inform you, but will also inspire and accelerate your journey into the world of franchise. I thank everyone for signing up and hope the webinar will prove useful to you. Without further ado, let me invite Dr. T. Chandru to give his opening remarks. Dr. Chandru, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Parthiban. And good afternoon to everyone. Mr. Dixon Low, Vice President, FLA, and Director of Manhattan Fish Market. Mr. Thomas Hoy, Manager, FLA. Mr. Albert Kong, my good friend, ESCO, member FLA, CFE, and of course, he has got many accolades and Chairman CEO of his own company called Asia Wide Franchise Consultants Private Limited. Ms. Andrea Bell, FLA, ESCO member, founder and director of Inspire Brands Asia. And of course, my good friend, my fellow director, Parthiban, board member of SICCI, who is also the chairman and managing director of Ishara Jewelry and Juvenis Jewelry Private Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a warm welcome to all of you. First, let me thank you for inviting me to chair today's webinar. My special thanks goes to the Franchising and Licensing Association, FLA, for partnering us. Today, SICCI and FLA have put together an insightful session to share how businesses can expand their own business through franchising and licensing and the opportunities that accompany it. The franchising and licensing industry accounts for 18% of Singapore's total domestic retail sales volume and generates a turnover of about $6 billion. Foreign franchises account for the bulk of franchise sales in Singapore. The United States is a dominant supplier of foreign franchises. Australian franchises, as well as Japanese and Taiwanese, primarily in the food and beverage industry, and also enjoy a degree of presence in Singapore. However, with the support of the local government, as well as industry-led efforts, local players have grown rapidly in recent years, particularly in the F&B, child-related and training services. Singapore franchises are also growing. Jakarta, Manila, Shanghai, and Malaysia continue to be the preferred market of the Singapore-based franchises. But emerging markets of Central Asia and South Asia are equally attractive, as my own experience would attest. In partnership with FLA today, we hope to offer you more insights into franchising to help you expand your business. Let me just quickly share with you of my personal experience in franchising at MMI. Modern Montessori International was founded in 1989 as an exclusive franchisor for Modern Montessori International London. I'm currently the chairman of the group. It is indeed a leading early childhood education player, the Asia Pacific. And it has a unique and a patented model. The Tenacious Group has grown, I must say, exponentially since it was founded as a single-story shop house in 1989. With close to 100 schools spread over 14 countries on 4 continents, it is one of the largest Montessori network in the world. A little-known methodology in the 1980s, MMI helped make Montessori a household name now associated with quality and assurance. An array of prestigious awards and accreditations attest to the strength of the company. Beyond offering preschool services and providing training programs, MMI also offers franchise packages to both local and international partners. As chairman of the chamber, I also like to share a few details of the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As part of its mission, it is to promote entrepreneurship and enterprises in Singapore. And the chamber never ceases to strive to better the business climate. The scope of our activities and initiatives each year is one of the ways we accomplish this. Indeed, as part of SICCI internationalization efforts, the Chamber has now established an internationalization division, IBD, that supports all Singaporean SMEs in their internationalization effort. Besides providing comprehensive market intelligence, it provides recommendations regarding government assistance schemes, as well as tax and legal issues. Furthermore, a team supports SMEs in their globalization journey by connecting them with panel business advisors and market experts. A FLA help desk has been set up to assist SICCI members companies considering franchising or buying franchises from others or internationalizing their brand. We hope today's session will be an eye-opener for many and instructive for others. Once again, thank you. Thank you to everyone gracing our events today. And I'm looking forward to your insightful sharing. We hope that the conversation will extend beyond today's session to help Singapore and foreign companies expand your presence through franchising and licensing. I wish everyone a fruitful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chandru. Let me introduce Mr. Dixon Low, FLA ESCO Vice President, Director of Manhattan Fish Market. Mr. Dixon Low, 55 years of age, is a Singapore citizen. He is a veteran in the food and beverage industry, having started work part-time in the hotel industry at a very tender age of 15 years old. He has more than 30 years experience in management for various F&B industry, mainly in Singapore and Malaysia. Mr. Low is a co-founder for the first company brand called the Manhattan Fish Market. He conceptualized and created the overall menu, operational flow, and the final service delivery to the ultimate customer. Let us now welcome Mr. Dixon Low for his opening remarks. Mr. Dixon Low, please.
Mr. Dixon.
I'm sorry, I've just muted my mic and I'm reading to the air. My apology. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I have a greeting to Mr. Padiban, Dr. Chandru, Mr. Albert Kong, Mr. Thomas Hoy, and Ms. Andrea Bell. My name is Dixon, Vice President for FLA Singapore, and I'm also a director and co-founder of Revenue Valley Group, which is an F&B company. Now, FLA, which is established in 1993, has about 115 members right now. And we cut across all industry, food and beverage, education and enrichment, retails, lifestyles, and services as well. Now, franchising is a way to extend business opportunity, and it shares a proven success formula with potential business seeker. FLA has also exhibited and promoted FL Asia. Since then, we have matches many brands during the FL Asia within the region. Now at FL Asia, we also work with our government agency, ESG, to engage with regional franchise association in order to enlarge our capability in exchange of business opportunity to our members. Some of the example, of course, we have regional trade shows. And last year, of course, it went into virtual trade shows. And last but not least, we always show appreciation to those brands and businesses that has succeeded in our annual FLA awards. And Thomas will actually bring you through some details to introduce the details of what FLA is all about. Thank you very much for everyone for coming to this session so that we can share, we can learn more about your business as well as share some of the franchise success story within FLA. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dickson Low. Let me give a brief introduction of Franchising and Licensing Association Singapore, also known as FLA. Okay, we are established in 1993 as the official voice for the franchising and licensing industry in Singapore. We are also the founding members of the Asia Pacific Franchise Confederation, APFC, and World Franchise Council. We have a delegate ESCO and advisors who are C-level management across diverse industry and discipline. Currently, we have 119 members, mostly from the F&B industry, followed by education, enrichment, retail, lifestyle services, and consultant. So we have established brands with global prominence. So as you can see, here is a list of all our ESCO members. Two of them are here today as a speaker, Mr. Dickson Low and Ms. Andrea Bell. We have facilitated the growth of globally recognized Singapore brands. Some of them you can see from here is BreadTalk, Kinderland, MyChamps, Osim, CRC Additive Math, Manhattan Fish Market, I Can Read, Ya-Kun, and Tonglou. Okay, after 27 years, we are the Apex Association representing the franchising and licensing industry in Singapore. We are the collective and respected voice for the industry, and we help Singapore companies and brands to internationalize and educate Singapore companies and the community on the requirements for franchising and licensing. And we also share the best practices and trends with our members. Okay, some of our flagship event is the FL Asia Trade Fair, where we have 200 participating brands from more than 20 countries and close to 8,000 visitors. Last year, we have a virtual edition, and this includes 70 exhibitors from countries like Korea, Japan, and France. We also have our annual FLA Awards, which is launched in 2005 to recognize and showcase successful franchise concept in the international arena, with over 280 brands that have participated. So we also engage our members through AGM, networking, seminar, workshop, and webinars. So we created WSQ courses, professional conversion program, a diagnostic assessment, and follow-up recommendation, all to help to build capabilities for our members. And we lead a trade show, franchise trade show, to countries like Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, conduct business matching and learning trips and market-specific web seminars. And we have frequent engagement with government agency, example, Enterprise Singapore, WSG, E2I, and minister like SMS Ms. Sim Ann, SMS Mr. Chee Hong Tat, MOS Ms. Low Yan Ling, on franchise and license issues and opportunities. So these are our event calendars for this year. As you can see, we have almost courses every month from March onwards. And then, of course, our AGM webinars, seminars, and also our business matching events like our very own FL Asia in November. Okay, these are some of the pictures of all the events we held over the years. Okay, last year, despite COVID situation, we hold a virtual business matching event, helping Singapore companies to expand their franchise into Indonesia, which is now the biggest market in Southeast Asia. with a population of 200 million as of today. Yeah. Okay, let me introduce the first speaker of the day, Mr. Albert Kong, FLA EXCO member, CFE CMC, Senior PMC, CEO of Asia-wide Franchise Consultant Private Limited. Mr. Albert Kong has more than 31 years franchise experience. He operated a master franchise from the UK for 10 years, from 1991 to 2002. In November 2003, Mr. Kong set up Asia-wide Franchise Consultants. Currently, he leads a team of experienced consultants who have helped more than 1,300 Asian companies in 12 countries develop, audit, and market their franchise throughout the region. He has a network of 70 strategic partner offices spread over 50 countries worldwide. He has won over 20 awards and accolades and has spoken on franchising in 46 nations, over 300 places. Let us welcome Mr. Albert Kong. Mr. Albert, please.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay.
You got to run the full screen. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It's on full screen now?
I think it's you have to reverse the thing.
Oh, so you are on the presenter mode?
Yes, correct. You have to
okay,
switch it around.
Let's see. Got to switch it around. Let's see. Let me stop share for a while. Are you able to see now? No.
You haven't shared a screen yet. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, I want to thank my good friend Dr. Chandru and Mr. Patpan and my fellow EXCO members, Dixon and Andrea. Okay, now I've been tasked to just go into basics because, as all of us know, as businessmen, you know, at C-level executives, if you get your basics wrong, everything is wrong. So it's very, very important, regardless of how experienced you are, to always just look at the basics, right? Okay. Now, franchising, I often refer to IFA because it's the oldest franchise association in the world. And everybody said that, you know, America is the motherland of franchising, which is true to a big extent because big brands like McDonald's, KFC, and what have you all originated from there. Even during this very difficult time, IFA said that in 2020, they even projected an increase, you know, of franchise businesses. So to me, no surprise, because during uncertain times and when people lose their jobs or when they are on long furloughs, they tend to want to become entrepreneurs. And franchising, which is acknowledged by many governments and tertiary institutions as a very safe way for entrepreneurship, therefore become popular, right? Even in Australia, and Australia is known as the most franchised nation in the world per capita. So even in Australia, they have projected that in 2020, you know, the sales and the employment are still very healthy, right? Now, because of the popularity of franchising, not only are there a lot of national franchise associations all over the world, but even what we call supranational bodies like the Asia Pacific Franchise Confederation, like the European Franchise Federation, like the FIAF, which is a sort of a supranational body for South American or Latin American franchise associations. And at the apex is the World Franchise Council, right? So I've had the good fortune to represent Singapore at the World Franchise Council for many years now. And every year we get new national franchise associations wanting to join us. Yeah. So this is all a very good sign that franchising, in spite of its imperfection, I must say that if anyone tells you that it's perfect, it's not true, because like any other business, a franchise business is subject to all sorts of conditions, right? Whether it's political, whether it's economic, you know, whether it's social, whether it's technical. Yeah. So, but again, even for a very cautious government like Singapore, franchising is supported through many schemes. So franchising is good news to all of us in the sense that it is still growing. Now, I even show you now, like even for those people my age, 65 or thereabouts, there used to be this bloc called the Soviet Union. Yeah, even after they disintegrated, a lot of the previous Soviet Union countries, they too have franchise associations in their own country. And they have formed the East European Franchise Forum. But unfortunately, this forum hasn't been recognized by the World Franchise Council yet. Yeah, but again, this is just another so-called signal to say that franchising is very popular, yeah, and it's growing. And the reason why it is growing, and this is often shared by many franchise consultants and franchise companies, is because it's an established and effective strategy for internationalization. You say, why? Why is it effective? Well, basically because if you go back to basics, the franchisor basically lends to the franchisee the brand name. The franchisor is not really in charge of how, you know, the franchisee, you know, take care of his own country's laws and regulations, you know. So a lot of these hurdles can be broken down if a good local franchisee is chosen. You know, he just take from the franchisor from whatever country, okay, just borrow the logo and the IP, and then get good training, and then he moves accordingly, of course, with permission for localization. Yeah, so it's an effective way for internationalization. Okay, meaning the franchisor doesn't need to know every small thing about the local requirement and custom. The franchisee need to know. Yeah, so it's an effective channel. Yeah, and there are many pluses. So one will be lower risk for the franchisor, and because you are like replicating a successful business, be it McDonald's, be it Anytime Fitness, be it Manhattan Fish Market, be it Juvenas, be it MMI, right? These franchisees, a lot of them can join you, and you don't have to go and, you know, use your own money. Yeah, so lower risk, faster speed, yeah, and visibility. You know, the more you see, the more you feel about the brand, and therefore the value of the IP also goes up, right? And the other advantage is the pooling of resources. Very simple. I mean, if on your own you buy from the supplier, the supplier is not so like excited. But when you go back to your supplier and say, now I have 50, 100 stores, my goodness, the supplier will be more than willing to give you a better price, right? And better service. Yeah. And as you grow as a franchisor, and your franchisee is taking care, you know, upfront, the end consumers, you can actually optimize the use of expertise, meaning you can start to recruit, you know, chief financial officer, a chief HR guy, you know, chief internet expert, you know, even if you need to, even a legal counsel. So all these so-called experts and professionals that, you know, you are now able to employ because of, you know, all your franchisees contributing money and royalties to you. Yeah, you can optimize the use. Yeah, and your franchisees get all sorts of, you know, backroom support, which is, so everybody wins, you know. So And I said earlier, during this period, actually, there are a lot more people, with time in their hands, looking at franchising, whether it's for their company to become a franchisor, or for those who are on long furlough or has been let go, they say, okay, I think I want to use my savings and become my own boss. So one quick way to get into entrepreneurship is through joining a franchise. Yeah. Now, so I'm going to go through these few points very quickly because I know I don't have all the time in the world. So I'm going to share this. So Ray Kroc, it says here founder, actually, the McDonald's actually were by two brothers, the McDonald brothers, but Ray Kroc as a milkshake salesman, milkshake machine salesman, saw the potential, and eventually he bought over the McDonald's brothers, and he's very often his quote has been repeated by many people. It says, franchising is to be in business for yourself, but not by yourself. Meaning you can run your own store, but behind you, there's one big chain, there's a big headquarters who are doing R&D, thinking of how to come up with a better apps, better social media advertisement, etc., etc. Even better is if the franchisor recruited a lot of very good franchisees, they keep coming up with very good ideas. So the opportunities to make more and more money through other like new products or merchandise or whatever becomes greater. Yeah. But I like to emphasize, franchising is not a sure thing. If a franchisor comes to you and say, I guarantee you success, I think you need to be very cautious. Yeah, I can't even guarantee my wife that I'll be home tonight, right? Because life is full of risk, including businesses. So I often urge franchisors never to say guarantee, right? So exactly what is franchising? If you were to look at this chart, it will be quite clear. I'll just show you this chart first. So basically, there's this person called a franchisor, all right? And then there's this persons, meaning because one franchisor, if you have only one franchisee, then it's such a waste because you will have spent a lot of time, perfecting your system, protecting your intellectual property, getting all the contracts written, etc., etc. You have a team, and then you only have one franchisee. It's like making a very expensive mole, and then you only make one mole. If you have a mole, you must well make millions, thousands. Of course, I'm exaggerating. In franchising, it's very dangerous to anyhow recruit people. So this franchisor actually, already has, a name, a reputation for having a good product, maybe have a service or both, and maybe a certain method of delivering the service, whether it's ambience, whether it's packaging, etc., etc., right? And then franchisee is a newbie who is keen. They say, hey, I like to be, let's say, join MMI because I love children, I believe in education, and then I want to join you as a franchisee. So the franchisor, in order to make sure that the standards are met and that his reputation is not, so-called destroyed by all sorts of funny people, so he will be very careful in selecting the franchisee, right? And then he will actually exert control, okay, on how the franchisee run the business, how it display logo, etc., etc. Okay, so of course it's not for free. So the franchisee normally pays a joining fee, or what we call a franchise fee, and on an ongoing basis pay royalty. And the franchisor, if it's a good franchisor, he will continue to brand build, continue to innovate, continue to improve on his so-called support to franchisees, and to continue to make the brand relevant, right? So it is a win-win, not just for franchisor, for franchisee, but even for the consumer at large, because they all believe in quality. They all believe in being easy access to this good food or good education center or this gym, right? So and then the other thing that I think should win will be even the country, because if it's a good thing like education or healthy food, then the consumers in the country has more choices, you know, and then if it is healthy food or education, then everybody gets an uplift. So it's good for the country, you know. So clearly, if it's like selling marijuana or it is something that's very bad and they franchise, thankfully Singapore doesn't allow things like that, right? Then it's no good. Even though the franchisor may win, the franchisee might win, but the country may lose. Yeah. Okay. So why is franchising increasingly important in many Asian countries? I think we all know. Like it or not, you know, more and more countries are getting out of so-called illiteracy. You know, unless you are talking about Afghanistan and some other, unfortunate countries. Most countries, the people are educated. They are becoming more affluent. They watch, Netflix. They watch YouTube, and then they see a lot of things that they want, right? So they hanker. They want more choices. They say, "Hey, this coffee brand, I saw it in this movie. Wow, you know, it would be nice if it can come to Singapore. You know, wow, this one they teach children coding. Wow, I think Singapore parents need it. You know, so they read from social media, they watch movies, etc., etc. People want more choices. People want to upgrade their lifestyle and their children's, status, right? And the other thing is increased productivity, right? Because why? You know, everybody don't have to go and learn how to go and, open a central kitchen and go and, come up with dough and this and that, you know. So the franchisor can do quite a lot of things from central kitchen, or already done R&D for this and that, or all the teaching materials, curricula already. The franchisee just follow, you know, no need to go and, reinvent the wheel, you know, and start from scratch, all right? And then, if everybody, every franchisee, every small company need to have a chief financial officer, a chief, IT fella, a HR fella, the cost is very expensive. But in franchising, no need. You know, the franchisor, if it's a, good and progressive franchisor, a lot of these things can be tapped on. The franchisee just do a good job facing and giving good, customer service, and ensuring that the brand continues to be loved by the end consumer, And then, of course, more and more, even in Singapore, a lot of individuals aspire to become their own boss, That's why startups are also encouraged by many countries now, and it's unlike when we were young. Our parents always say, work for the government, be a doctor, be a lawyer, don't go into business because of risk. But the situation has changed a lot. Now, I will now share about from the franchisor perspective. So quite a lot of the things here will be repeated from early on what we say. So for the franchisor, you can expand quickly. You don't need, to open on your own. You have a central organization with various experts to provide training and support to your franchisees who are actually facing the end consumers, be it little children or their parents, or young people eating your food or coming to your gym, yeah. So you expand at minimal capital risk, and then the collective buying power is becomes a given. Like I said, suppliers will be more than happy, to give you a better price, right? And this doesn't apply to just, food or stationery, or even when you buy advertisements, even when you invite, an expert, let's say in your domain to come, you can get all the franchisees all to contribute a certain amount. And then, wow, those that are not franchising, wow, they can't afford. They say, wow, to bring this chef over just to show us, how he cooked this thing up. Wow, so expensive. But if everybody chip in, then, you are different. You are the one that can afford, right? And then, as I said earlier on, if you have good franchisees, and when you reach a certain size, other people will come knocking on your doors. You look at McDonald's. McDonald's, after they become so big, wow, all the Hollywood, producers and whatever, they go to McDonald's and say, hey, I've got this new toy, for my new movie, Iron Man, Spider-Man, whatever man, right? And I would like to work with you because you have so many outlets, And then McDonald's and McDonald's franchisees can make a lot of money selling this kind of merchandise. See, so this kind of possibility, this kind of new areas of making money, and giving your brand an extension, into merchandise will be fantastic, right? And then you, the franchisor, like I said earlier, you can concentrate on R&D, you know, and the wider you are, the more eyeballs, the more the value of your IP. You know, I remember recently, I won't mention the name, one of our clients came to us and said, hey, someone copy our this thing, no, and register in their country. We want to fight them. You know, Albert, you exhibited in all these countries, right? Do you have proof to show that our logo and all these things are there? We show. Then we say, oh, this is also one form of distribution, because we show that, hey, you know, this brand, they also have a presence in this show, and people know. And that country, the person who saw this logo go and become a copycat. So this client of ours actually show the evidence to the lawyer, and then, you know, they have a better chance of winning the case, which is an infringement case, you know. Yeah. And finally, the franchisee motivation. Now, can you imagine if you, I mean, it's quite normal to think like that, you know, if it's just an employee who is being paid a certain amount, when it rains or when there's a flood or whatever, you know, he might be late, you know, he might call in sick. He may say, oh, today, you know, my sister's getting married or whatever. But if it's a franchisee, even if it's raining and flooding, if he, you know, if possible, he will still go to his shop and open shop. Because why? His savings, his money are all on the line. You know, his motivation is very different from an employee. Now, from the franchisee's perspective, I show this because this was actually in the newspapers very long ago. Yeah. So this man who became a franchisee of a cleaning business, he said, oh, before I could choose to close one eye, but now it's my own place, my own money. So I have to work extra hard and must check on the workers. Why? Because he wants more and more companies to engage him to do cleaning, right? So his motivation is very different. He learned from the franchisor provides him all the chemicals and teach him how to monitor the workers and all, but he will be very on the ball to make sure the standards are met, right? Now, these are some of the reasons for people wanting to buy a franchise, because of the name. You know, you don't need to go and recreate a name. The name is already recognized. You know, you have all this training and support from the franchisee, and you are assigned a territory whereby a good franchisor will make sure that the franchisee will not have 3 or 4 other same brand franchisees are competing with him, and therefore giving him not enough so-called target audience, or what we call pool of franchisees, pool of customers. You know, because if the franchisee fails, it's very bad for your name. So a good franchisor will make sure that the assigned territory, you know, is enough for him to still make money, you know, and things like that, right? All these are in the contract. So yeah, and then other reasons will include, as we mentioned before, you know, the franchisor can buy in bulk, so he can get things cheaper, right? And the franchisee can have access to the franchisors, all the experts, be it the finance, be it legal, you know, be it advertising, be it HR, you know, and then the cross-fertilization of ideas, right? And this one is actually dependent on the franchisor being a good franchisor. I'm sure all of us know, and it's no secret, there are some franchisors who recruit anybody who's willing to pay, you know. And then if the franchisor has recruited bad franchisees and those franchise outlets close, then actually it is a negative impact, right? So I think both franchisor and franchisees are aware, you know, that you know, they cannot be flippant in just choosing people and just looking at money or location, but you know, actually have a very stringent so-called selection process, right? So these are the advantages, you know, which I've earlier on talked about. This slide shows you that, you know, when you become a group, you know, then you are stronger. So then your competitive strength is a lot bigger, right? And now the thing is, like I said earlier, if you have chosen a bad franchisor, let's say this franchisor is one that specializes in Spider-Man party and all, but he chose franchisees that are very fat. Wow, then all the other franchisees will be very angry. They say, how can Spider-Man be fat? You let this person be a franchisee just because he's willing to pay, you know? So things like that. So good franchisees will be people who really follow the system. The cute picture about all these doggies lining up and waiting for their turn. You know, I mean, that's the ideal situation. You know, and also you don't want to let franchisees feel that they are chained up and have no way to move. For example, let's say you are the franchisee for McDonald's in India, right? And then McDonald's, let's say McDonald's, which is not true, is very inflexible. Say, no, you must sell my, Big Mac. Then the franchisee say, but in my city, 8, 9 people out of 10, they are Hindus, they don't eat beef. And then McDonald's said, I don't care, you have to sell. Then it's a big problem. So all these things must be thought through. Fortunately, in India, McDonald's don't sell beef. The Big Mac. Yeah. So all sorts of industries. Earlier on, Mr. Pathiban, he mentioned, he said, they hail from many industries. So these names I put here, most of them are my clients. So but we even have iFly from Sentosa, which is a leisure kind of concept, and we have turned it into a franchise. So they are talking to a lot of shopping malls to see whether they want that concept, so that shoppers that go to their mall have another thing to do, which is to go and learn to fly. So franchises can come from many industries, but what's important is, like I said, whether it makes sense, whether the pool of consumers are big enough, and whether the country even want that kind of thing or not, right? So these are other examples which I will not spend time going through. So theoretically, all kinds of businesses can be franchised, okay? But there are certain areas that are very crucial that should be thought through. Like I just share very briefly, when we do a franchise project, we look at a lot of things, okay? We go through many phases, but let me just show you. For example, in the Singapore context versus, let's say, in America or Australia or Europe, that a tattoo franchise is harder, okay? Singapore is a harder market for a tattooing salon, okay? Because maybe Singaporeans are more conservative. Maybe they feel that, oh, once you have a tattoo that is very obvious, you can't get certain kinds of job, especially in the government service. You can't even donate blood, if you have, certain tattoos and all, right? So you have to consider, like, my concept in this country, is the market big enough? Can I even get franchisees, right? Another one will be like businesses that might become, sunset industries. For example, the repair of machine, fax machine, or pages, because in future, people may not even want to use these things already, right? So these are quite commonsensical, but it's important to think through, I just give you a few more examples. Like this concept, which is a toilet kind of restaurant, is very popular in Taiwan, but they came to Singapore, and just about a year, they closed shop, because I think Singaporeans say, I don't like to see all these toilet seats while I eat, so it's a very different kind of mentality versus in Taiwan, right? And same thing, this one in Beijing. This one, even if I feel like it, I won't bring my girlfriend or wife there, because what are the chances that the food goes into her nose? Quite high. So it may be cute for certain markets, but in a small market like Singapore, if you open maybe 1, maybe 2, because not many people keep coming back. They go once, okay, they got experience enough already. They won't go again and have food, going into their ears and nose, right? Yeah. So at this juncture, I want to say that for Singaporeans, for Singapore-based companies, not just Singapore companies, Singapore-based companies that meet the criteria, there are a lot of so-called grants and assistance from the government. So this is very good. One of which is MRA, which I think earlier on was mentioned. Yeah, because if you, for example, if it is important not to do guesswork. I share another real example. So there was a steakhouse chain, which many people know. They wanted to go to a certain country. So they came to us and say, what do you think? We said, don't guess. Okay, don't just listen to one or two people. Why don't you apply for MRA? We do a very thorough investigation, whether your kind of food, your kind of pricing, going to that market, whether, people are willing to spend the kind of money, whether, they will eat this kind of food. Is it once a day, once a week, once a month, once a year, So you need to think through all these things, because if not, it's just imagination. Yeah. So, so what is potential? Like I said right at the beginning, franchising is still very, very popular. So, and FLA is here to help, and Indian Chamber is very nice to sort of introduce this very nice thing called franchising to its members. Yeah. And these are other things that are just very rosy to say that, international franchises are focusing on Southeast Asia, which is, buzzing compared to other continents or other regions of the world. Yeah. And just my company alone, and Thomas will tell you, we go to 30 over shows. Even during the last 18 months, when a lot of shows are on virtual so-called platforms, we participate. So we participate in the Russian one, Taiwan one, Hong Kong one, India one, etc., etc. Even the Singapore Business Federation one. And this morning I just did the IP week with IPOS. So franchising clearly still attracts a lot of attention, and the organizers of franchise shows and activities will not stop. Okay, because they know that people are maybe preparing. They say, okay, once everything is back to normal, they want to fly to this country, go and take a look at this franchise, and maybe bring back to their own country. Yeah. So these are some of the so-called examples of successful franchises, including MMI in the education line, including of course Manhattan Fish Market in the food line, including Anytime Fitness from the lifestyle, and of course, including Juvenis from the jewelry retail side, So all this, and except for Brunei, okay, all the countries you see here all got franchise shows, Right now in ASEAN, only Laos, okay, and Brunei don't have franchise shows. Even Myanmar got franchise shows. So you can imagine, right? Okay, so I'm coming to the last part of my presentation. I think we have no excuse for not, offering better service, better products, because this is an internet connected world. People can find out news so quickly. So we have to become better. We cannot procrastinate, in terms of digitization and all. But of course, you don't go in blindly, whether you are, especially when you're franchising, because what you do as a franchisor affects all your franchisee, and franchisees, your ideas and how you behave and how you treat customers will also affect the whole chain, So just be aware that the information flows very quickly, okay? So franchisors and franchisees are becoming more and more reliant on technology to achieve operational excellence. For example, Luckin Coffee, which our GLC also invested in. Yeah. So very important to always go back to basics. Okay, make sure your product is wanted. Make sure your pricing is accepted. Make sure your promotion is not offensive. For example, this morning during the IP week webinar, in my speech, I shared that, McDonald's used BTS, as a sort of a celebrity spokesman. And then the Subway, unfortunately, they used one celebrity which backfired because this celebrity did something, Yeah. So all these things are very important. And then people, how you train them to service, to treat people, in customer service, and your packaging. Now, more and more, if you are not environmentally conscious, people might not patronize you as often because they feel that they are contributing to the plastic bags in the ocean or making the climate hotter and hotter, Yeah. So I'm going to finish soon. Again, even if you are a very strong brand, you need to be very careful. For example, this Starbucks van, they didn't check. The minute they open the door, Starbucks become sucks, you know. So, and then the other one is this roasted duck restaurant, you know. They were using social media all over the shop, but the picture they use is a chicken, but they're famous for their duck, you know. So these are small little things, but it can affect, you know, your you know, so-called image, your branding. Yeah. So finally, I end with the letter C. Wherever you want to go, try to remember this letter C, the country, you know. Is it stable? Is it a country whereby you have enough customers, etc., etc.? You know, the contract, for example, Australia, the ACCC is very, very strict. You know, in Vietnam, you know, they have their disclosure regime is also very strict. You know, and then you must know the consumers. Okay, like a lot of things we serve in Singapore. You go to USA, they say, it's too small. You know, it can't fill my stomach, right? You know. Right, and things like that. So even like corner, like Marché is a very good concept from Switzerland, but it's not easy for them to find corners or locations because, you know, they need pretty big area, right? And then communications, you know, and then the candidates, and then also the consultant you use. All these are very important because a bad consultant can BS you and pretend to know when he doesn't know, you know. So all these are very, yeah. So I'm gonna finish. Localization, you know, like in Japan, they prefer their own kind, you know, of mayonnaise. Yeah. So a lot of brands that go over there, they have to use this mayonnaise. Okay. So of course, another C is be careful of counterfeits. So when people look at this, they thought it's IKEA, you know, but actually it is not. Okay, it's not IKEA, but every floor looks like IKEA, right? And in Iran, you see, it's not McDonald's, it's McDonald's, right? Instead of Pizza Hut, it's Pizza Hut, you know? So all these things, you know? So, and this is not opened by Obama, but it opened for 1 month and then it was taken down, you know, in a certain part of Beijing, yeah? And this is not KFC, you know? So adapt, you know, don't push everything, but of course, without sacrificing your core image, your core offering, right? But adapt. Like now that it's COVID, even KFC, you know, they use a little van to go around to deliver in a varsity. So all these are adaptation. And McDonald's very cleverly in UK, they want to let people feel that they care, they give free ice cream. You know, so it's a fancy McDonald's moment just to enjoy, right? Fancy at McDonald's. They give away, I mean, very cheap lah, those ice cream, but you know, but hey, it makes people continue to like you, right? Okay, so I finish. Thank you for your patience. And I'm sure my fellow ExCo members, you know, very famous operators like Dixon and Andrea will share with you even more powerful things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert Kong. The next speaker, Mr. Dixon Low, will share his business perspective on the benefits of franchising, challenges, and tips. Let's welcome Mr. Dixon Low.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah, thank you, Albert, again. Albert, I have always called him my Sifu. He is a guru in franchising, and when he started, I told him, "You are the guru, I'm the gundu." All right. Yeah, it has came a long way for me, knowing Albert, having him to help me, to assist me, and to always encourage in the franchise arena, what are the changes, and we share a lot of information right now. All right. Anyway, my name is Dixon Low. I am a co-founder of Revenue Valley Group. We own a brand like the Manhattan Fish Market. We have Manhattan Fish Market franchise. We also own Tony Romas in the whole of Malaysia only. because when I say Tony Roma's, a lot of people ask me about Singapore. I have nothing to do with Singapore. We have another house brand called NY Steak Shack. NY, yeah, you know what NY stands for. Of course, it kind of represents New York, but sometimes we didn't want to kind of put a name to it. But the word NY actually says something. And as we are having the challenges over the last 2 years, during this COVID time, a couple of brands came out. We have another brand called Dapola. It is actually a dark kitchen brand, serving up local dishes through established kitchens that is already saturated in the 40 over outlets in all the brands. So you can pick them out in any of the outlet having this dark kitchen brand. So it can be anywhere. Of course, we also kind of that is to actually make good use of whatever resources that we have. And of course, in order to reach out to customer, we have another brand called Nice Catch. That is mainly a kiosk to do pop-out as well as food truck. That is to reach to the customers. All right, I started as a restaurateur and quickly found the right formula and wanted to expand the business. And one of the common way in F&B is, of course, to franchise. All right, and at that point when I wanted to franchise, of course, we founded the Manhattan Fish Market. So as a founder, as a brand developer, we consider the franchisor, okay? But then again here, in order to do franchise, there are a lot of work to be done. It's, of course, good business if you are going to look at some of the big brands right out there. So we always say that there must be an objective before you can do your franchising. So we kind of very bold. We put that we want to be one of the best franchisor. All right, then as we sat down, we said that, hey, how can it be? If I said that I want to be a good father, I don't have a son, how am I going to be proven to be a good father? That would be tough. Therefore, one of the way that we did a very unorthodox way. We actually took a franchise of the brand Tony Roma's to Malaysia. All right, I started RVG actually in Malaysia with my Malaysia partners, and we took Tony Roma's. So what we did was that we used Tony Roma's as a springboard in order to learn and understand what franchising is all about. And the franchisor at Tony Roma's is extremely helpful. They guided us. They also gave us tips. They gave us a lot of suggestions. How should we be expanding and become a good franchisor? And that's when we become a franchisee, and that's how we actually learn how to be a good franchisor. Now, so the question is, does franchise work? The answer is yes. I'm a franchisor as well as a franchisee. So I'm in the franchise business, yeah. Right, so this is the brands that we are having. Manhattan Fish Market is a house brand. NY Steak Shack is a house brand. Tony Roma's is a franchise brand. We actually also have some of another company that owns Popeyes, Gelare Ice Cream, A&W in Malaysia, and Subway in Malaysia. All right, so like what I say, other than these three brands, we have brands like Dapola that right onto the kitchen of it. We have another one, Nice Catch, which is go external part of it in order to expand the business. Now, this is how the company actually started and how it flows. All right, we started in 2002, and so right now it has been almost a good 20 years. Now, you notice one of the things is that I wrote there at 2019 because we haven't actually put in the summary of 2020 and 2021. As the pandemic is still progressing, we won't know what is the journey. So therefore, we are still holding on to that, and that actually ends at 2019. And you could see that we have 15 countries as we have franchised too. Now, I can tell you that to date, we probably is having only 12 of them. All right, so it has been extremely difficult and hard for this pandemic in many other countries. Right, so a lot of people could ask me and say that since you are in both sides of the coins, what are the advantage and disadvantage? Of course, they are there. One of the things that I said that if you are going to take a franchise brand, there must be something which is very important. If you are looking at something that we call speed, and speed equals to time, that could be definitely a very good way to start a business or to pick up a franchise in order to be in some form of business. All right. Having your own doesn't mean to say there's no good. If you have the background, you have the knowledge, you wanted to spend some time, you're still young, you want to nurture it the way you are, you can, by all means, start once, have your own culture, get it on, all right? So is franchising model a shortcut to success? My answer is a big yes. Like what I say, speed is an important element. A lot of things are being provided, a lot of things are being shared, and speed equals to time, right? Now, of course, in order to take a franchise, your entrepreneurial spirit has to be exhibited. And this word is always here. Is it risky? My answer is this. Not doing anything is definitely the worst risk. So this is still a bit risky, but it's worth the risk, all right, for franchising. Now, advantage and disadvantage. These are some of the shots. It's a proven formula. If you look at it, it's guided in the training and ongoing support. Now, even finding of location, it takes two hands to crack. As much as a brand has experience, they will share their experience, but not necessarily applicable to the country that you are in. So it is always two hands to crack in order to work on it. Some of the things that I want to say, taking a franchise. Example, like recently, A&W came back to Singapore. Now, what happened? All right, after the brand itself, look at the brand, it has been established here for a long time, it left, the craving is still there. All right, the craving is still there, and that is very important. And having franchise from time to time, just like what Albert has said, having group purchasing, it could be volume, it could be cheaper. The answer is sometimes. Because you have a certain country, like in Thailand, nothing goes in. No importation of meat, no importation of sauces, no importation of spices. So how do you go in? Well, you really have to establish a core purchasing team right there to help your franchisee to match a local product which is equal to your specs. All right. Now, so having franchise is one of the important things is that you pay a bit of it, but you are buying some time, buying the time factor. All right. Of course, disadvantage, you can say that there are costs involved. Well, it's definitely a cost involved. Legal, the local will help you to get through some legal. But again, here it is a learning for you to overcome as a good partner. All right. There are some times that you have to kind of adjust your very strict SOP to certain ability that can get them to change and adapt. Borrowing Albert word, adapt the local market. All right. Now, of course, one of the things which being a franchisee that I really felt that I need to do, that is everything that I have to do in marketing, in new product research and development. I have to go back to do consultation and get approval from our brand's owner. But again, here I always said that once you are proven to be a worthy partner in the business, for example, in Tony Roma's, we are not only the franchisee, the master franchisee, we are also the regional training center. All right. Well, so of course, when you can go to the world, there's definitely helps you in terms of your franchise revenue, the brand value itself improve, there's enlarged recognition to your brand, you get to know more country, you get quite a bit of learning, all right? Now, some of the things about mistake to avoid of getting a franchise. Now, it's very, very important to know that franchise in any form is a guide, is a help, it's a formula which has been successful somewhere, and you can take it with their blessing to duplicate that success factor right here. But they are not here to babysit you. A lot of time depend on your local partner resourcefulness in order to get it going, like adjusting to the local palate. Example, to give you an example, in Thailand, when I first started Manhattan Fish Market, I went there to do something known as a food show. And a food show is that I cook for these 30 people, and these 30 people will tell me whether they like or don't like. And somehow out of these 30 people, 2/3 of them tell me, okay lah. But what is okay? Okay means no good. If you are trying out, this is food. If food that you have never tried before, you eat it, you like it. Wow, I like it. But they say, okay. Now, and among these 30 people, there are a couple of very good friends. Pull them aside, say, don't just tell me, don't be so constructive. Tell me the truth. What is wrong with it? They say that it lacked certain element. All right, why? Because in Thailand, the palate is very different. I suppose the people there, they are extreme in their taste bud. Sweet, they want it to be very sweet, sourish, very sourish. Spiciness hit the roof, and it's very different. So therefore, I adjusted the formula. What I did is that I used my SOP. Anything with salt, I increased 15%, 1.5. Anything with sugar, I increased 25%. And I invited these 30 people to come back. This time round, 2/3 say excellent. But it's as simple as that. We have to do adjust, and so therefore, from time to time, franchise brand itself would have to work together on the ground with the franchisee in order to get it right. All right. Okay. So how to know if your business is franchise ready? My answer to you is that today I need to promote, of course, representing FLA. My answer is please talk to FLA. All right, Thomas will assist you. As such, we have our diagnostic, we have business support to ensure that you are ready to do a franchise or even to pick up a franchise if, let's say, you are looking at it. All right. So I'll leave some of these for reading purpose. Now, of course, they are challenged, but I don't think I'll go through everyone. Just if you look at these three very important elements that I just want to talk about. Example, local economic issue, something that we can't control. Like Malaysia is not doing great recently. Number two is this stability of government. You can talk about Myanmar. And I think supply chain, local structure, language, time zone, all these, they are quite common. One of the things that I always share is about the culture. Now, culture is something that they have written in their books in their country for thousands of years. For China, for the rest of our Southeast Asia country, we have a few hundred years of history. Singapore is only 56 years. So therefore, there's a certain culture that is not for you and me to change. All right. So for that part, we have to understand it very, very well. All right. So economic side, I suppose quite a bit of sharings, learning that you have to do. If you are going to open there, how well will it be? How to price it correctly, ensure that the local GDP are able to afford. Now, one of the things that I could share a little fun thing that I did. When I was younger, I going around and when I was younger, seems I'm very old. Yeah, I am. When I go around to look at the pricing of certain products, I always take a couple of big brands as my guides. Example, McDonald's, example, KFC's. How do I do that? I take it as such that this big company actually go into a deep dive to understand how to operate as a franchise brand in that particular country. And they have studied the GDP, they have studied even things like the withholding tax, any product that go in with high taxes, blah, blah. All right, and that's the reason why they price a Big Mac at a certain price. So I have a chart that I draw out Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and you are going to see, let's say, Big Mac. Then you can reach and see what are their percentage. From here, I can estimate to say, oh, well, this is how I should also price myself. Okay, that is a good guide. So do have that. In any industry, if you are in the service industry, yeah, of course, there are certain services that come from a certain brand. You can take that as a guide and see how to work on. And that's how I work on the percentage and say, if in Singapore, I'm in $10, therefore 5% more there, 15% more there, 75% more there. And that's how I do it, right? Well, stability of government, I can't talk very much. Didn't want to get into politics issue. All right, supply, as much as it is, there are also challenges. For example, some lemon in certain country, they are not as sour as what it's supposed to be. So your 5 ml are not as sour as what it's supposed to be. So it doesn't bring out certain taste. And one of the things I want to talk about Japan, when we are sending all our product to Japan, Japan, when they import product, they allow only a certain kind of sodium, salt, right? Not every kind of salt that can be put in and sent there. And learning from there, I have a whole container sent there and being sent back to us, right? Well, so this is some local customs that you have to work on. For example, when we open at Saudi Arabia, of course, in their local custom, they have their single door, their family door, and they observe a lot of procedure very closely. So those are local custom that you just got to understand. All right. So again here, structure itself, there's many types. I just want to share one thing about the master franchise at Tony Roma's itself. We are the master franchise in Malaysia, but at the same time, we are also awarded regional training center. Now, why? That is because we are able to work well and be in partnership with the brand owner, and we not only won their international franchise award, we also has been innovating because in Malaysia it is actually more of a halal menu, but Tony Roma's being a pork ribs dominant brand in other countries, they are all non-halal. So a lot of learnings actually come from us, and we spend our time to innovate, to change, to do research, to ensure that we have that, and using us as a standard template, a guide, that is the one that actually grow, and they are looking at opening probably in Brunei, probably in Sri Lanka, probably in Bangladesh, where there are large Muslim populations. So of course, being training, there's another set of it, train the trainer. You need to keep a qualified amount of trainer, so there are labor costs, all that, but we share. And therefore, we also awarded the status of a sub-franchising. That means to say that we can sub-franchise Tony Roma's in Malaysia anywhere, so that when we collect some royalty, it will be on a sharing basis. Yeah, then you have area developments, probably an example is more in Malaysia, like you take only Johor and not any other place, joint venture, and area representative, that is very popular in terms of Subway. If you look at Subway, they have area representative. they take on this area, those outlet or those potential, those nearby outlet will all be by them. Right? Okay, so of course, I will leave the rest for reading of area developments, joint venture that I've just talked about. All right. So another things that I want to talk about a culture, something to share. I was just talking to a friend from Mongolia, and he told me to say that the culture in Mongolia, they have just been picking up to eat seafood, but it is still not a hot topic yet. He was telling me they are a hunting culture. So in terms of beef, in terms of lambs, plentiful, even horse meat is plentiful in Mongolia. And about 20 years ago, they started to eat chicken. And today, chicken is a common product, but seafood, no, not yet. So you see, it's a culture evolution, cultural change. So these are things which is important that you understand what the culture actually within that country actually takes about. And of course, being some of the market, being started in Malaysia, we are always very mindful about the halal issue in many places. And we have to decide to say that if we want to make it halal, how about the processing plant? That means to say the ingredient that put in could be of very, very different taste from the original when it's non-halal. So there must be decision in terms of being a franchisor that you have to decide. And being a franchisee, of course, you definitely wanted the right product to be in your market. Okay, right. So the rest of it, challenges, communication. I don't think it's a big issue for our local Singaporean or Malaysian. We know many languages. All right, and being all the materials that you need to do, there's always known as the Google Translate right now, plenty of resources that you can overcome this issue. All right, time zone, I don't think it's a big factor. All of us has been traveling. Legal environment. Now, this is something I only have one sentence to encourage everybody. Get an expert. No one can help you except a legal expert of that particular country and your country. Match the two together. All right, whatsoever that, however, I will say that even for Albert, that he has some knowledge, only a real legal counsel can give you the right stack of legal paper. Right. Okay, marketing, I'm not going to go through a great deal because I think definitely youngsters in terms of social marketing is able to get that through. Now, fee also, something why I want to bring has this slide of a fee. I would say that I will leave this to the brand to decide and think about it, but I would say franchisor, franchisee is actually a partnership and it takes two hands to clap. So during this recent, very difficult pandemic, do reach out to your franchisor to discuss how you can work out a win-win situation. All right, what it takes to be a successful franchisor in today's world. Probably some simple text right here. Again here, I think Albert has explained that tremendously. And in all my presentation, I always like to ask one question. We not only talk about today, we will always be thinking about the future. So what will we be? Okay, so just let me have this closing note. If you are interested to become a franchisor, please do approach FLA. Definitely, we will have the support structure. We have the franchise framework, diagnostic toolkit to help or start franchise business. All right, franchise is definitely a proven strategy for business growth. So yes, I'm in it because I'm a franchisor and franchisee. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dixon. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon Low. Let me introduce the last speaker of the day, Ms. Andrea Bell, FLA ESCO, co-founder and director, Inspired Brands. Let's welcome Ms. Andrea Bell.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you everyone for having me here, and appreciate your patience as well. So I will try and keep this brief because what Albert and Dixon have shared has been very insightful, and I fully agree with. So I don't want to kind of rehash too much on that. There's some really good content that's gone through today. Maybe I'll just share a little bit about what my experience has been, certainly over this last 2 years, also this last 2020-2021 pandemic. Prior to that, Anytime Fitness was an extremely strong brand. And I'm very happy to say that it still is a very strong brand. And one of the benefits of being in franchising is making sure that you have a brand that can survive something like, you know, the pandemic. Of course, we didn't expect it to be as long as it has been, and making sure that you've got a very strong brand, your brand is very strong, is extremely important. There's a lot of aspects that go into that. And as Dixon mentioned, the FLA competency framework is a really good basis to start from and make sure that your brand has ticked all those boxes. So definitely reach out and go through that. It's well worth it. We were part of the build out of that, and it was very insightful to see where the brand sit. So this year has been a struggle for everyone, I have to say. We're certainly no different, but one of the benefits of being in the fitness industry is we will come out of this very well. We will survive through this, and then coming out, we will thrive as well. I guess one of the benefits of COVID is it has brought the health industry to the forefront of everyone's mind, that health needs to be something that we're all considering and taking forward. So that has been very useful. We just click through. I'm going to just click through some of these. I won't go through everything for speed. Sorry, 1 second. So yeah, so making sure that we've got, sorry, we went back, that your brand is perfectly positioned to recover and you can get through these tough times as a franchisor. There's certain things that you can do to make sure that you are supporting your franchisees, and that is one of the benefits is reaching out and having massive communication, very open, clear transparency with your franchisees. As Dixon said, you are in a partnership. It may be a parent-child partnership, depending on how you've set it up, but it is a partnership and you do need each other. And it's very important to have, through these really tough times, to have that clear communication with them. What is happening on the ground for them? What is their experience, and how can you help them get through that? And then certainly what we've found is having the franchise units versus corporate-owned units has been one of the key areas of surviving through this, because the franchisee individually owns the OPEX, and we are collecting fees during this period, which, granted, we've offered a huge amount of relief through this. But if we had corporate-owned businesses, like, you know, any non-franchising business, you would suffer a lot because you now own that whole P&L. So that has been one of the massive ability or positive notes of being in franchising, is we've managed to keep, I think we've only lost around 3% of our market across 9 countries in Asia during this pandemic, which is pretty amazing. We actually thought we would lose maybe 20%, but we've managed to keep them going by giving fee relief and helping negotiate with landlords on the rent, because rent, of course, having that, keeping your OPEX as low as possible has been really useful. So yeah, really working out. And then the difference, as Dixon mentioned, I think one of the big things is how you structure your fees, how you structure your franchise fees, a flat fee versus a percentage of revenue fee. That can be depending on where you are in the pre-pandemic or post-pandemic. We have a flat fee structure, and that in a pandemic has been quite useful. We're able to lower that, halve it, play with it a little bit. But from a franchisee's point of view, right now, a percentage of revenue would be better because their revenue is basically nothing. So from during a downtime, percentage of fee would be preferred. However, during an uptime and when we open back up and thrive, the percentage of fee revenue model would be better for us as the franchisor. And so that's just something to consider. Of course, you could do hybrid models as well and have a flat fee plus a small percentage. So just, think about how you're going to do that and making sure that it is something that will get you through good times and bad, because that has made a big difference right now. The other thing I wanted to just quickly touch on is depending on whether you're doing 100% franchise units or if you are going to do some corporate owned. Again, during really great times, having corporate owned gyms is fantastic because you have varying ways. You can own part of the unit, so you have revenue coming from that. You can have management fees as well if you manage those corporate owned gyms and you have investors coming in and buying. But like I said, when it's a downtime, that actually ends up costing the company more. So making sure you have that right balance mix between franchise and corporate owned is crucial to your survival as the master franchisor. That's certainly been our experience. So we're comfortable with the mix that we have. So we will keep that going. So out of the 275 units that we have across Asia, we own about 70 of those gyms. So we'll keep that ratio going. It's something that we can handle. And then I just wanted to touch on a few more points. Yeah, and so just a last one on this. Just go down here. There's a lot here, but I'll skip through. The last one is making sure that you do, and I touched on it briefly before, but I can't emphasize this enough, making sure that you're reaching out to your franchisees, to your members. Communication through a pandemic like this is critical to your survival. The franchisees that we've seen suffer the most have been the ones that have gone quiet. This is very difficult for everyone. Members are equally having a struggle at working from home, homeschool, the rest of it. Everybody is heightened stress right now. Going silent is not going to be the key to your success. Make sure that you're talking and communicating to them all throughout this period, and you'll find that the majority will be very nice, helpful, supportive, understanding, and grateful for your support. So that's very quick for me. I'm happy to talk to anyone about franchising, like we all are, till the ends of the earth. So please feel free to reach out. I do love to help people succeed and see you success. So I'm happy to share anything more that you wish and answer any questions if you want to send them through. I see the Q&A is pretty quiet though. I haven't seen any big questions coming through. So hopefully some people have some questions that we can answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Andrebelle. Let us now proceed to the Q&A session, which will be moderated by Mr. Albert Kong. Albert, please.
Hello, I'm back. Yes, no questions at all.
Albert, I texted you one question. There's one question, yes.
Okay. Not in the Q&A section. Where do you put it?
Okay, it's in the chat box.
In the chat box.
Yeah, I WhatsApp to you just now.
Oh, you WhatsApp me. Okay.
Okay, never mind. I'll read out the question.
Okay.
It's asked by Mr. Wilson Tan. The question is, can you explain the difference between franchising and distributors? ship agency, what are the advantages and disadvantages?
Okay, I'm sure my fellow panelists and, including Mr. Padipan can all chip in. Okay, clearly there's a difference. Franchising, as even indicated by Dixon, earlier on, I think franchising involves a lot more things, okay? Not just branding, not just the touch and feel, there may be a lot of proprietary things, including management software, and certain secrets, etc., etc. Whereas the other modes like dealership, distributorship, they are not as fastidious, okay? I mean, if I were a distributor of, let's say, Rolex watch, frankly, the watch factory would not be very particular about whether, all my team members wear the right uniform, whether they have cleaned the toilet 3 times a day, whether they greet a customer in a particular way, etc., etc., okay? So it's generally acknowledged that franchising is more invasive in terms of just running it as a business format, meaning the minute you open the door till the minute you close door, there is pretty much set in the SOP already. Okay, like I said, dealership, distributorship, they're not so particular. Distributorship will say, okay, look, I want to know. Well, I happen to be the group marketing manager for the Hourglass Group for a few years, so we distributed a lot of very expensive watches, right? So some of the things the Swiss watch manufacturers want will be, okay, let me know what kind of marketing plan you are having, how many advertisements in which famous magazines like Tatler and this and that, right? And then how many launch tea parties or parties are you going to have? And then is there a matching amount? If you're spending, say, $500,000, okay, I will also commit to $500,000. Let's make it 1 million and we're going to do this, right? But more importantly is, okay, show me your sales target. That is the most important. Like I said, how you really run the business, they are not so particular. Okay, so I'll let Dixon, Andrea, Padipan to chip in if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I suppose for me to explain this, I would say that being franchised, it looks into a lot of details. Distributor agentship are more general, more straightforward, not so tedious. Franchise is not only a legal part of it, the legal spells out each and every steps that you have to take, and you have to approach, you have to do according to whatsoever the brands has said or put on. Distribution, probably what you need is more of a FMCG product where it can be distributed at a certain speed, having a certain promo. I think that is quite general and it can be shared with everyone so long as they could actually accelerate the volume, which is the main target, like what Albert said. Yeah. So that's probably more of distribution and agentship. Yeah. Franchising is like raising a kid. Right. Okay. That's on me.
I think there's some question coming in. Also from Mr. Wilson Tan. What would be a good time to start franchising your brand? Years in operation, revenue, would it be advisable for new brands? Yeah.
Yeah,
Albert,
maybe I take this.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Albert, you have to say something?
No, Dixon, you start, and then I can ad lib, and then of course Andrea, and Mr. Padipan. Yeah.
I suppose the saying goes, no time is a good time. Any times that you felt that you are ready, I think readiness as such to say that you are doing good, you need expansion, you know that you have that ability to move forward, you are ready for it, you are really gung-ho, you wanted to show a lot more people, to share with everybody the good product, good services that you had. I think then probably that would be the first step that you are ready. And of course, getting the franchising framework, how does it goes? Like what I say, you got help right here. FLA are here to help you. But definitely the first step is that you must be the person who ignite this step and take forward. There's no better time than any time. Right, Albert?
Do you want to say anything, Andrea, before I give my 5 cents worth?
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Anytime's a good time, but being prepared, preparation, making sure that you have all the areas of the business ready to scale, because franchising is all about scalability. And if you don't have one of those areas that are going to scale, then it will be very difficult for you. And not all companies are ready to franchise. We've looked at brands as well, and the brand may seem amazing. They've got amazing marketing and manuals, but if the finance system isn't able to be scaled across franchisees, then you've got to stop. So that's one of the biggest things is definitely the franchise fees, because that's going to be your key to success. So making sure that you can scale, as Benji will know if you're ready. And following the framework, I agree with Dixon. Follow the framework. It's there for good reason.
Any other before I share my 5 cents worth? Okay. Well, the question also involves the number of outlets. I am pretty confident that my fellow speakers will agree with me that there's no magic number, okay? I've heard people go on stage and say, you must have 5 outlets, and then, no, I give you an example. I did have a client who franchised. They are in the gifts business. And it is a very old brand, and they're just a one office, and Singapore is very small, but they did get inquiries from Thailand, which is a gift giving country, China, so one outlet. So if this client were to open 5 or 10, they're just cannibalizing, because you just put the hampers together and then they send, right? So the overseas franchisees are more interested in their methodology, their in-house software in terms of managing the inventory, fulfillment of orders, etc. So one, there's no magic number. I think number 2, whether your company is ready for franchising or not, I think again we go back to basics. Okay. If you understand the franchising is replicating a business that is proven successful, then the question is, what is successful, right? So if you are still groping in the dark, you are still, you have 2 products and then you're trying out the 3rd product, and then for example, someone knocks on your door and you franchise, and you make the franchisee get all 3 products, but for all you know, the 3rd product flops, within months, because you realize that nobody wants it, or the way to make it better is just too costly, and you don't have the economies of scale, So again, you go back to basics. Franchising is actually cloning, replicating something proven successful. So is your business proven successful? Of course, there are many consultants, there are many very gung-ho businessmen say, yeah, you don't worry, this is good, this is hit, everybody wants it, for example, ghost kitchen. Let's say you start a ghost kitchen and you sell whatever laksa, mee rebus, and fried chicken, and suddenly wow, you get a lot of inquiries and you start franchising. But within 6 months, you realize that the buzz is gone and that you have problems with this supplier that you depended on. Everything go haywire. All your franchisees will fall with you. So I think speaking in a responsible manner, and also as indicated by Andrea, you should not be in a stage where you're still groping and finding out whether things work. Okay, and you shouldn't be franchising just because you know that your franchisees are going to pay you money so you can pay your loans. That's very dangerous thinking. We like to say this: franchisee, yes, I'm making money from the chain. I'm making money through you. I'm not making money from you. It's just one word, but it's going to make a lot of difference. Through you means I want to make sure you are making money, okay? And I earn through you. But if I say I make money from you, I don't care whether you're making money, just pay me the royalty, So the psychology and the spirit is totally different, So I'm not going to belabor this point, but I'm not sure if the rest want to say anything.
Okay, we move on to the second question due to time constraint. The question is, what are qualities of a good franchisee? From Mr. Philip Sim.
Okay, who wants to start? Qualities of a good franchisee. Dixon, you have a lot to share, I'm sure. and Andrea.
Andrea, can take that, Andrea.
Choosing franchisees is one of the most critical things that you'll need to do, choosing the right franchisee. So I'm glad that you brought it up. We have certainly made mistakes and learned from those mistakes. Selling a franchise to anyone that breathes is not recommended. Really choose your partners, because you will be in a partnership with these franchisees or their partners for whatever the term of your franchise agreement is. For us, it's 6 years, and then they renew. So it's a very long partnership. Characteristics to look for is collaborative, open, willing to listen. So if anyone that has some kind of arrogance or ego or pride is probably going to think they can do it better. Collaborative, open, trusting, a good people person, depending of course on what your business is, but you are going to be having those relationships with them. Maybe they don't have a relationship direct to your customers, but yeah, you collaborative 100%. So then there's always going to be some give and take through the relationship. That would be my key.
I can only add and say, well said. That's it.
Albert, you want to say anything?
No, I want to ask whether Mr. Pathiban want to add anything before I give my 1 cent.
Well, you guys are the industry experts, so I think I leave the answers to you all. If I have anything to say, I'll definitely join in. Thanks, Albert.
Thank you. Well, my take is this. One of the things I urge my clients who are franchisors to sort of put in their questionnaire, which is a list of all the things that they are particular about, but legal and not like, which church do you go, and those are illegal questions, okay? But let's say I said one of the ways to see if this person is so passionate and has the right expectation, we say, if you are going to lose money year 1, year 2, maybe year 3, and I'm signing a 5-year contract with you, how soon are you going to give up? If they say no, if I don't see my money in 6 months, I'll be very angry. then that's one way to, to say, oh my, the expectations may be not something you can meet, right? Because when you have one or several unhappy franchisees in your chain, the entire atmosphere can be affected because they do share notes. Yeah, they do compare notes. Yeah, so different clients have different criteria, right? I mean, like in the kindergarten childcare side, we do have clients who say, look, I don't care how rich the franchisee is or how well connected, but if he doesn't have children, I'm not going to have him. Well, maybe it's his experience. Maybe it is his all his teachers, they share this thing. They say, the franchisee must love children, regardless of how badly the children behave. He, with this kind of temperament, will make the business a success because he's patient, he's good with children, he can stand all the whatever nonsense children do, right? Things like that. So actually having a very thorough questionnaire, when you interview the franchisee, will help you avoid blind spots so that you don't go into a halo effect because this lady walks in and she claims to be the daughter of the prime minister, or, she's related to the police chief. Because a lot of franchisors, normally, when they see that the check is written and ready to be given, everything is okay, and then they regret later, and the regret is a big regret, So again, I think the qualities, the franchisor have to think through, what are the things that are really important, and give a score so that you don't get blind spots, so that you don't fall into this thing called the halo effect.
Okay, thank you, Albert. There's one question from the chat box by Mr. Kishori. He says that he asking, for how long must we pay for royalty fees beside paying for the franchise fees?
Dixon, you take
Okay, probably, yeah. There are two fees to pay, of course. Franchise fee is mainly for the franchise right of the location. So if you take a master franchise, of course, that fee is slightly higher. If you take a territory, probably lower. But if you take a unit, it will be just based on that unit. So that one is a one-time fee. But royalty is like a business sharing proportion. All right. The reason why you are successful in your business is because of the brand, is because of its training, is because of its guidance, is because of the principle, and because of the support of research and development. So this is why you pay a percentage of your takings to the brand itself. So the brand indirectly also take that as part of their servicing fee, but at the same time, they also carry on to renew the concept, to come up with new promotion, new products, and share with you. So this is somehow a sharing of resources rather than how long you pay. Royalty is you pay until the day that you decided to say you want to stop the business. That's royalty. But franchise fee is only for one time. All right. Yep. Thank you.
I was going to just chime in on that. There's can be quite a lot of different fee structures as well. So as Dixon mentioned, royalty fee doesn't necessarily have to be just one fee. So for instance, in our case, we have a monthly fee, which is the flat fee. Then we have technology fees, we have marketing fees. They all go to different things. We have app fees. So there's all sorts of ways. And then you can play with those different features of your fee structure as well. So it's not set in stone. Maybe we just take this last question, Thomas.
Okay. I actually have got one more last question. You want to answer the
Yeah.
last question?
Okay, it's about the professional consulting services, whether it can be franchised or not, right?
Yes.
Okay, now, if you were in a big country like America or a vast continent like Australia, you'll find that even accounting, accounting services are franchised, right? I mean, Singapore is very cramped, so it may not the necessity may not be so obvious. Whereas if you are in a very big country, the small SMEs don't have to go all the way to Sydney just to get a big accounting firm to do the job for them. So a recognized consulting, let's say accounting firm or headhunting firm can actually have a franchisee in your territory, say Adelaide, which is in the south, right? And the brand owner, okay, will continue to just brand build, and maybe the brand owner also has some proprietary software and all that will help the franchisee in, let's say, Adelaide to just tap into, so that he can do the accounting or the head hunting service, in almost a similar manner, but he doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. So yes, professional service can be franchised. I think the word here is it replicable? For example, a heart surgeon. If a heart surgeon comes to me and say, Albert, I want a franchise, then my question to him will be, where are you going to find your franchisees? Oh, then he said, oh, from the hospital. Then I said, aren't they already trained as heart surgeons? So why do they want to follow you? I mean, things like that. And then if this person says, yeah, I'm not going to teach them how to operate, but I have this system, and all heart surgeons need to use this, if they were my franchisees, they can use it at a cheaper rate, And then, oh, okay, there's something here, then we can discuss. Yeah. So I will not come up with a blanket statement and say yes or no. It really depends on what the concept is. Is it viable? Are they going to be people who will be franchisees? And then, these franchisees, where are their target audience? Is there cannibalization, etc., etc.? Because if it doesn't make business sense, then why even start, right? So, theoretical things, and all the nice speeches and all will become a waste of time if it doesn't work out, if it's not even, going to work, right? So like I said, always go back to basics. What's your product or service? What kind of pricing? How are you going to promote it? And what other things will make it work? Is it the packaging? Is it the trained personnel, etc., etc.? Most importantly, is what are you trying to offer? Is there even anyone that wants this, right, in your market?
Dixon or Andrew, do you have anything to add on?
I know a lot of brands that are like that. For instance, in Australia, you might have tax, so H&R Block and all the different tax. Real estate's another example of that. And it's the consistency in the branding, right? The consistency for the member experience or for the client's experience, and that's what you're replicating. So if you have a system, ultimately that's what you need, is a system that's able to be replicated in multiple areas, not necessarily markets, but and that branding, because those members or clients are going to come to you because they recognize that brand. So establishing that, I think, for consultancies is probably quite important to get that branding and system correct to start with.
I'm good. I think it's well explained.
Okay, everyone. Thank you all the panelists for answering all the questions. It's now past 5 o'clock. So let me proceed to the last slide of the day. Okay, these are what I call 3 basic steps to franchising. Okay, we have, as FLA association, right, we have try to synergize with the nation objective to upskill capabilities of Singapore companies. So we have 3 steps to help Singapore companies to begin franchising. The first step is to take a complimentary franchise brand or diagnostic assessment. So far, we have diagnosed over 200 Singapore brands. It's a simplified version where you answer 15 questions, take about 5 to 10 minutes of your time. Then we will send you a simplified report to see where is your brand at according to the franchise standards. And step 2 is to enroll in our WSQ Essential or Franchise Management course. Right now, we have up to 90% subsidy. So this franchise course will actually introduce to you all the necessary components to build your own franchise system. And the third step is to send your staff to a professional conversion program, PCP program, for the franchising and licensing track. And the good thing about this program is there is up to 90% of 3 months salary support. And this is a 12-day course. And there is also cost-free grant. The only thing is that you have to send your new staff that has worked less than 30 days. Okay, if you want to send old staff, right, you have to prove that the staff current job is redundant, and then you want to change your job role into a franchise role. Yeah. So that's our 3 basic steps to franchising. Don't worry, we will send all the participants all our presentation slides. And so you all can visit our website at www.flsingapore.org or follow us on Facebook page. I'll link in, this is my contact number or email address. And thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the webinar.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Padaban. Thank you, Dr. Chan.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
attendees. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.